Welcome back, everybody, to Waadaplaya Concussion Sub Series. Very, very excited this Saturday because we have two special guests who have joined us today to review and preview two upcoming series of India. One is India Sri Lanka, and second is India Tour of England, where we are going to play test matches in English summer. So the two special guests are well renowned. One is former India Test player Saba Karim and ever eloquent senior journalist Vijay Lokapally, sir. Welcome to What a Player show again. We are so thrilled to have you, Saba sir and Vijay sir.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to interact and chat with all of you. So I look forward to another interesting session.
Thank you. And for me personally, I have always loved chatting with Saba because it's always good to learn from him. He's honestly a very good student. So I hope he also learns from me.
I've done that my entire life with it.
Excellent. And to kick our show today, we have resident experts Akash, Vishak, and Syed. Welcome, guys. Nice to see you in India jerseys. We are live, so ton of questions are already coming up and rolling up. To kickstart the show, like I said, we will cover two topics, primarily on India Tour of Sri Lanka, which recently got postponed, but hoping that it will start 18th of July, COVID permitting, and then India Tour of Sri Lanka. So Akash, take it away.
Thank you, Suman. So Sabha sir, starting with you, how excited are you to see two different squads play at the same time for India? I mean, literally 40 Indian cricketers representing the country. How exciting time is it for India with the bench strength, basically?
This is a great challenge, and I think these are exciting times, yes, for so many young cricketers, because this opportunity has come, albeit due to the pandemic. But this is such a healthy platform for all the young talent to showcase their potential. If you look ahead to the World Cup T20 that is supposed to take place in September, October this year, out of the 15-member squad, I think maybe about 10, 11 kind of have been kind of finalized for the national team. So there are still, I reckon, 2 or 3 slots which is up for grabs in the national side for the T20 World Cup. So I think most of the youngsters who are part of the Sri Lankan, who are part of the Sri Lankan tour, they would love to perform well so that they're able to convince the selectors, and they can get a place at the national side.
Absolutely exciting times indeed.
So this series is going to be the first series for Shikhar Dhawan as a captain for India and under Rahul Dravid. So what do you look forward for Shikhar leading the team with a lot of youngsters also?
I think Shikhar comes across as a very forthright and very honest person. He's a very chilled out kind of a personality, and we've seen that in the way he bats. We've seen that the way he conducts himself on the field and off the field. I think one thing is for certain is that he would obviously love to have a very conducive kind of an environment in the side. Very relaxed. There's no pressure whatsoever because he's gone through so much of turmoil in his entire career. So he would love to offer a settled environment to all the players, not put them under any kind of pressure, not make them feel insecure whatsoever. And I think he and Rahul Dravid together, they would form a lovely kind of combination that will help to ease the nerves of all the Indian players who are in the side. Yeah, so I think Shikhar, great challenge ahead for him, but I think he would really relish this opportunity.
So Rahul Dravid as coach, he has previously told that he is very keen on coaching the younger players and he wants to get India, he wants to develop the younger players. Now he has been made the coach for the Sri Lanka series. Do you think he should take up the long-term role, and would it benefit India?
Let me get my experienced friend on this first. I would love to hear Vijay's comment on this. So Vijay, you please fire first.
This is about Rahul Dravid's role, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes. No, the question is that should he, in case it comes up, should he take up the assignment as a full-time India coach or not?
It would be a good thought, but the idea is there is a process here. He'll have to fulfill that, and it's very obvious that if he applies for the job, he will get it. But Saba, how will he adjust to this new set of players? Because he's a pakka traditionalist, and we have known him to be a very strict when it comes to cricket. He will not tolerate any nonsense, and I don't know if he'll be very comfortable doing it. This I'm sure he has taken it up because there was no choice. Shastri was in
Yeah.
England, and you have been forced to put up a team in Sri Lanka for very obvious reasons. So I don't know. I'm sure he must have taken it very reluctantly. If I know Rahul Dravid, and he's very comfortable teaching them at the NCA. That's what he loves the most. Setting the basics right. But here it will be a different role. And if you remember Sabah, he was to be India's batting coach, and he had agreed
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
to the batting coach with the senior team, and how he was chucked out without giving an opportunity was one of the saddest developments in Indian cricket. He and Zahir Khan, they never got an opportunity to travel with the team, and they were just cast aside. So I have my doubts if he'll be very comfortable. But yes, having known him Sabha so well, you know him more because you played with him. You've been in the dressing room, how he looks at the game. He will be a great asset if he takes up the job, but I'm not too sure if he'll be willing to travel so much and be away from home. Because NCA he took it Sawa because it was in Bangalore. It didn't require him to travel much. His
Yeah.
sons are growing up, so um, yeah. I mean that's what I feel. I have mixed feelings.
Yeah, well, I go with your views, Vijay, because having known Rahul for a number of years now, even to convince him to get on board as a head of cricket at NCA was not such an easy job. One had to convince him, and one was able to convince him because he was driven by the fact that we're based out of Bangalore. So he wants to spend as much time as possible with his family. I think over the past several years, he has traveled quite a lot with under 19 side in the India A tours. If all of you can recall, now India A is a very robust program where teams travel abroad. They travel to Sena country. They travel to Sri Lanka to play. We have at least one or two home series, one or two overseas tours, where it works as a shadow tour for Team India. So he's traveled quite a lot. And finally, when this was offered to him, that why don't you take up this assignment as head of NCA, because you'll be based out of Bangalore. That's when he managed to come on board. And I feel that I go back to his days as a captain of the Indian side. It became very emotionally draining for him because he's such a sensitive person, extremely emotional. And for him to go up to a player and to tell him that, well, you cannot play this game or you have been dropped was not such an easy task for him. So I feel that I mean he's too nice a person to become the Indian coach at this point of time, and I don't think he would want to put himself in that kind of position where it takes so much out of him. And I think that is why I feel that this position of him as head of NCA gives him a great opportunity to work on the development of most of the cricketers who come through the system. And I'm not only talking about Team India, but I'm also talking about women cricketers. The kind of responsibility that he has been entrusted with is supposed to channelize the entire growth of of Indian cricket in India through the national cricket academies, and subsequently with several other state academies. So I think he's right now in a very strong position in terms of space, in terms of the kind of empowerment which has been offered. I mean, I reckon that he would love to continue as head of cricket NCA, but in the end,
And
it is his decision.
And Sama, just to add to your thoughts, I don't think he'll be very comfortable with this lot also because he's a very studious kind of a person who will not, like we said. I mean, in his own way, he's. You said you're so right about he being very emotional, and he will not be able to take anyone digressing from his thoughts on the game. So it will be a big challenge for him to adjust himself in the dressing room with this lot.
Yeah, Vijay, but he has seen most of the players who are right now in the team India. All of them have come through the India A or under 19, and he has spent a lot of time with them. He knows them quite well. His communication levels are so high. So in that regard, I do not think that he'll have any issues with the present law. I think It's more about him as an individual, whether he wants to take up this kind of assignment.
Yeah.
Couple of comments coming in, sir. So Ajay Kemanu and Shraddha Tiwari on this hot topic of captain and coach's request being declined to get Prithvi Shaw and Padikkal on board in place of Gill. How important is a captain's and a coach's role in selection? And is really Prithvi Shaw that good that he was dropped and they want him back again now? So, Pastor, if you can go.
Please. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody.
I think
I'll
was
make
quite
it easy for you, Saba. I don't think he deserves to go to England. So you carry on, then I'll add.
No. It is not about the individual, and I think such decisions have to be taken by the team management in association with the selectors. So for me to figure this out as to why there was a demand for both these players, Padikkal and Prithvi Shaw, was quite strange, because we already have 3 or 4 openers in the squad right now. You have KL Rahul, you have Mayank Agarwal, you have Abhimanyu Ishwaran. Abhimanyu, for that matter, has done very well in red ball cricket in India over the past 2-3 years, or more for that matter. He's got about 1300s under his belt. He's played very well for India. He's got a double hundred for India. So I really found it very strange that there was a demand for 2 openers. I could understand that because of the prevailing conditions in England, the fact that the England team had to have immediate 5 or 6 replacements because of this COVID-19. If there was a need to increase the number of players who are right now who are right now with the squad in England, then they could have always chatted with the selectors and said, okay, we need 3 or 4 more players, and then leave it to the selectors to decide whether they want openers, whether they want pace bowlers or spinners or middle order bat or whatever it may be. And I think it's more important to have that kind of communication, not only with the selector but also with BCCI. I really don't know what transpired, but it came across as a very strange kind of position that the team management took.
Saba, don't you think it also undermines and it kind of breaks the confidence of a player like Abhimanyu, who is already there? I mean, his selection was based on merit, and he's already
I was not sure whether the team management took the name of these 2 openers specifically. They may have asked for 2 more openers, or they may have asked for 2 players. One is not privy to the email that was exchanged with the team management and the selectors, or with BCCI. So we are only speculating.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. We were given to understand that they're very keen on Prithvi Shaw.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, if they have asked for these 2 openers, then yes, definitely, it erodes the confidence of the player who are already there.
How can you? I mean, he's gone there on merit, and you have taken so long to realize that he is not as good an opener as Prithvi Shaw or whoever. So,
yeah, but how can you realize that? That's not for them to realize. That's for the selectors to realize.
Obviously, selectors
and you hardly had any practice sessions.
Plus,
and
the team management.
You haven't played any first-class match, so how could you have come to that kind of a decision?
And Saban, the team management has not watched Abhimanyu Ishwaran play. He plays domestic.
Yeah, well, it's not the first time, Vijay. It does happen with captain and coaches at times, because they don't watch too much of domestic cricket. They get driven by what they see in IPL, because they play IPL together. So maybe that may be one of the reasons. Both Prithvi and Padikkal, if it has happened, Virat may have watched them from close quarters, and he may have been very impressed, and he felt that the performance or the form in white ball cricket can be duplicated in red ball also. But there's not such an easy thing to do.
Yeah, but this whole episode doesn't reflect well in these times of communication, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't reflect well, and it's definitely not good for somebody. If I'm Abhimanyu, I'll feel very bad. I mean, I've gone there on merit. I'm looking forward to maybe getting to play a test match, because I never prayed for Gill to get injured. Now that he's injured, I can stake my claims. So at least give me an opportunity to bat.
Yeah, Abhimanyu in the last 24 months, I think his average has been 48 in domestic first-class cricket. So that should explain and rest the case.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, sir, for this answers. And moving on again from for the Sri Lanka tour, right? So one of the burning question we had in the past England series was the spin department. Now this team has Kuldeep and Chahal, whereas we also have Rahul Shah breathing down their neck for the spot for the World T20. So keeping that in mind, How do you think Kuldeep and Chahal will fare in the Sri Lanka tour?
I think they should do quite well. Kuldeep Yadav, I'm very confident about Rahul Chahar and Yuzi Chahal because both of them got enough experience and they seem to be in decent form. Rahul Chahar especially has done so well for Mumbai Indians in the recently so-called conclusion of IPL. He has done quite well for India A also. Chahal has got the experience, so one can expect both these leggies to do well. Kuldeep Yadav needs to do a lot of introspection. I'm sure he's been working very hard. I'm also sure that he has worked with the coaches um, to to um, to really find out as to what has happened to his bowling effort. Maybe he needs to increase his speed. Maybe he needs to give more revs on the ball to get that kind of bite from the surface. That's the kind of work which he has to do. And I'm sure that with Rahul Dravid around, he must have worked very hard to get out of that kind of a slot where he wasn't able to bowl properly.
Yeah, we'll go with the beer question now. And we already spoke about the two different teams and our bench strength. So, do you think IPL has helped getting what we are where we are with the bench strength, or it's a strength in domestic circuit?
So the quality of IPL has improved considerably over the past several years because of the strength of domestic structure, because the strength of domestic cricket. The fact that that we say is thinking of adding two more teams in IPL is a testimony of the fact that we have such fine first-class cricketers coming through the system that they need more and more opportunities, a better platform to showcase their talent. Because in the end, if there some years ago there was only one platform, that is the national team. Now we also have the IPL team. So even if you don't get to play the national team, only 15 can play at one point of time. So you need some more places, some more platform to excel and also to to become financially secure. And I think IPL provides all that to so many domestic cricketers. But again, I think both these tournaments are domestic tournaments. But IPL success generally lies in the fact that BCCI's domestic structure is very healthy and very strong.
So Vijay sir, India and Sri Lanka basically have a lot of history going back. A lot of players. We have got great matches in the past as well. But even for this particular series, we've got off-field banter as well coming through. Some Sri Lankan greats saying that it's not right for India to send a second string team, whereas some Sri Lankan greats feel that the second string team itself is good enough to beat them. So what are your views? Is this team really good enough to play well in Sri Lanka?
Definitely. I mean, Saba would remember India-Sri Lanka cricket roots are very strong, and they go back to that annual cricket match, Saba, the Gopalan Trophy game between Tamil Nadu and the Sri Lankan champion team. So I expect this to be a good series. Yes, I know Ranatunga feels it's a second string. Aravinda De Silva, because of the position he is in the Sri Lankan cricket, he feels it is not a second string team, which I agree. I mean, it's as good as an India team because of the awesome talent that India has today. But this banter apart, Saba can also, I would like him to say, because India Sri Lanka cricket has not generated the kind of excitement Saba in the past, because maybe because Sri Lankans have not been able to find. It will take them time to find replacements for Sangakkara and the likes of Mahela, Chamindavas, Muralitharan. So I mean, you're going to miss them definitely. And now this series, Matthews is also sitting out. They've already lost 3 players to disciplinary charges. So, but still, on Sri Lankan cricket, wicket pitches which are very slow. You struggle to generate good cricket. I expect this series to be a low-scoring affair. That's what. What do you think, Saba? I mean, am I right? Because Sri Lankan cricket has in the past somehow has not generated the kind of interest, say, in India-Pakistan or even India-West Indies series would generate.
Yeah, Vijay, you're absolutely right. And I think the transition has not been so kind to Sri Lankan cricket. With the departure of Sangha, Mahela Jayawardene, the kind of progress they were expecting, the kind of step up in performance they were expecting from the youngsters that have not come through. They lack continuity. They're not shown the kind of trust which is required to inspire youngsters to do well. And one has seen so many players who have come and gone, and one has not even seen them perform well. Even the so-called experienced players like Angelo Matthews struggle with injuries, struggle with form. The same goes for Dinesh Chandimal. They have tried so many new captains in different formats, and it has not succeeded for Sri Lanka. So I think that is one of the reasons why Sri Lanka and India series does not generate that kind of thrill. I saw them play recently against England. I do feel that they have a very strong bowling attack. They have Chamira, they have the tall left arm spinner Fernando, they have a decent leggy. It is the batting which has been an issue with Sri Lankan team for some years now. And I think the last stellar performance which I remember against India was way back in the Champions Trophy, Vijay, if you recall, where Sri Lanka chased down India's massive score of 300 plus. And I mean, it was such a shocking performance from India's perspective, because everybody felt that India would steamroll Sri Lanka in that game. But they came back and they had these youngsters who did very well. And as I mentioned, at that point of time, they needed to show more faith and more trust in the youngsters who have done well in such an important encounter. But I didn't see that happen. And I think that is one of the reasons why Sri Lankan cricket has struggled in recent past.
And from 2017, Sri Lanka had on white ball 9 captains.
So yeah, you're right.
9 captains.
Yeah, they've tried far too many things.
Yeah,
I think it is a very politically kind of a vibrant place in terms of cricket. That may be one of the reasons. And then they have this issue of contract now. So things are not going very well with Sri Lankan cricket.
Yeah, I think Arvind also was telling that they need someone like Rahul Dravid, like Jayawardene from that setup to groom these youngsters and bring them to the next level. So probably that is also missing.
Yeah, but they need to give a good offer to people like Mahela or Sangakkara.
Yeah.
I mean, because they are engaged in so many other assignments. So why would they leave all that? And I mean, I'm sure knowing Mahela and Sangha, they'll be more than happy to assist Sri Lankan cricket to get back to its old glory. But I think they also need to be treated with respect.
But so it's not going to be an overnight transformation. It's going to be a long process, because the domestic cricket itself is in shambles. They have been struggling to organize and
but
get
now they
the
got
best.
Tom Moody as director of cricket, and he's supposed to revamp the entire domestic structure. And he's the one who came up with his new contract, which is not accepted by any of these Sri Lankan cricketers. So one really doesn't know what is taking place in Sri Lanka right now.
Yeah. And sticking to Sri Lanka tour, one other mystery, I would say, for fans and also to Team India is Hardik Pandya fitness. So there is narrative that he's still recouping from back injury or knee injury. Second, when he's bowling, he's just bowling 2 overs or 5 overs. And then Kapil Dev, the great Kapil Dev, also had a fair point that if somebody is not bowling 4 overs and gets tired bowling 4 overs, why do we even need to have them in long-term plan? So what's your view there? Because we need Hardik as an all-rounder. So if he is not bowling, does he still fit into the squad?
In white ball cricket, maybe you can think of playing Hardik Pandya as a pure batter. That also in T20. In one day, it may not be so easy, because then you don't get that kind of balance in the side. So in T20, even if he bowls a couple of overs, you may still manage to compete and to win games, because he's such an essential player in white ball cricket for India. But I think it's very important to assess his workload management on a regular basis. And I feel, it's my personal opinion, that Hardik should focus more on white ball cricket. So if he can continue to play for India as an all-rounder in T20 and in one-day cricket, I think that'll be more then I think the Indian team management would be more than happy. For him to get back as an all-rounder, even as a batting all-rounder in the Test squad, may not be so easy for him, because I feel that the kind of injury he has right now, it will not be easy for him to play red ball cricket, that is Test matches, as an all-rounder.
Sabha, if he doesn't bowl, he doesn't find a place in the test squad. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
that's what
so
I'm saying.
right about his.
Yeah.
Fine, his batting is suited for T20, where he if he plays a poor shot, he doesn't get reprimanded. But that will not happen in Test cricket. He will have to bat far more, apply himself far more, and
Yeah.
and if he doesn't bowl, he doesn't add to the balance of the team. So it's going to be a long
Yeah, I think
process.
more
I
so,
can't see him.
Vijay, when India travels to Sena countries, look what happened to India in the recently held Test match, World Test Championship final. So India missed that batting all rounder who could bowl at a decent pace. So I think in those conditions, you're also expected to bowl at least 10 to 12 overs in a day, and with his kind of injury, that may not be so easy for him. So I do have my doubts, but let's see.
Yeah, injury, because if he exerts himself, at the back of his mind, he'll always have this issue that if he exerts, he might aggravate that injury. So he's not going to go flat out in a test match. Like two
Yeah,
hour spell and then another 2 hour spell is fine in
yeah,
T20 cricket.
yeah,
So
yeah. And you have back-to-back two T20 World Cups coming up. One is this year,
exactly.
and then in 2022, then you have the 50 over World Cup in 23. So
Yes,
if the team management has some kind of a plan in mind, then they would love to conserve Hardik Pandya only for white ball cricket and more so for these ICC event.
absolutely. Yeah.
Great
So,
insight.
firstly, Sanjay Dubey, Sabha sir, Sanjay Dubey wishes you good luck with the new assignment which you have taken up with Delhi
Ah,
Capitals. Yeah.
thank you so
So,
much, Sanjay.
and then going into the Sri Lanka series, since we have a fresh squad here, right? So, who are the players to watch out for? Who do you think has a good? You already mentioned there are 4 to 5 spots, right? Who are those players who would be vying for that spot, and who will be the players to watch out for according to you?
I feel there are two, three of them who have yet to cement their place in the side. Surya Kumar Yadav stock in very highly, so he has to perform on a regular basis, and I think this will be a perfect opportunity for him to come in up the order and play freely. Same goes for Ishan Kishan, high on talent. That did very well for Mumbai Indians in last season IPL. Not so well this season. I played in the home series against England, a couple of good scores. So I think such players would love to do well and ensure a place in the national team. Sanju Samson, look at Prithvi Shaw, Shikhar Dhawan for that matter. Shikhar Dhawan is not part of the T20 national side, but he can back his impressive IPL performance with some stellar runs here. I'm sure the selectors will have a relook.
Let's switch focus now to the England series, Sabha sir.
Look, Vijay is
So
silent. He's
India,
hardly talking. Please ask him some questions.
definitely.
No,
Put him under the
no,
put him under the
no,
under
no.
fire now,
I'm
under the
I'm
spotlight.
happy. I'm happy to listen to your views, and but Sabha, I think I'll be watching Shikhar Dhawan very closely because this is one opportunity for him. They have made him the captain, so I've seen him lead Delhi with a lot of passion, and he can get very involved. He can so this is a platform for him to showcase his leadership, if you call it, or maybe captaincy, and then his own form to stake his claims in the national team. He has to make a comeback, and he's looking forward. I was speaking to him about, for a spot in the World Cup, which is the ultimate. And think so. I'll be watching him, and of course, as people have been talking about Padikkal, all the names you have taken, all these bowlers, and very keen to see how Yadav performs because Kuldeep has been under tremendous pressure. I feel that his confidence has been destroyed by the way he has been treated. I'm all for Kuldeep Yadav to be given an extended run, and if he fails, then fine. I mean, you can banish him to domestic cricket, but give him a proper platform.
Someone like Bhuvi also, Vijay.
Yeah.
After his comeback from injury, he has not performed up to his potential or up to his his experience. So I think this is another opportunity for him to regain his old form and come back to the Indian side.
Yes.
Someone like Yuzi Chahal, he seems to be in troubled waters these days. So I think another good performance here will help the selectors to put him in the side.
Chahal is being chased by Chahar, so it's going to
Yeah.
be
Yes.
yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. So, with regard to the England tour, we have a question from Sanjay Dubey for both of you, Vijay sir and Sabha sir. So, your thoughts on the England's rotation policy? They seem to be more focused on the T20 and the Ashes, and not on the actual Test matches with the other countries. What are your views? Are they right doing it? Vijay sir, if
Vijay,
you go first, if you can go first.
I think we saw that in the home series against India, where they rested some of the performing players. It explains, and all their. I mean, for an English cricket supporter, Ashes is the most important thing. So I don't blame them. Like when India was playing Pakistan regularly, every Indian cricket fan wanted India to do well against Pakistan. They may go and lose to any other country in the world, but not to Pakistan. So similarly, England and Australia, they don't want to lose each other. So and traditionally they have had some rich cricket in Ashes, Sabah. I mean, how they prepare, and again, if they are focusing on Ashes, you can't blame them because for them and their supporters, that is it is the most important cricket, and the World Cup. So World Cup they have won the TOI, the ODI World Cup, so they may be looking to do well in T20 also. So their focus is absolutely right, and this rotation policy is bound to happen with so many, with such amount of cricket being played. You have to preserve your cricketers. I mean, there'll be burnout, there'll be injuries. Look at what has happened to Hardik Pandya. I mean, we have lost Hardik Pandya only to this burnout factor. I feel it's a burnout factor because he was playing too much of cricket. So that's it.
One more question coming in from viewers for Sabah sir, mainly on Bumrah's form. So India looks a different team when Bumrah is bowling well. But when he's not in form or out of color, it's completely a different bowling unit. So, what are your thoughts for his upcoming England tour? How is he going to do it?
he's essential for India's success in England, not only in England, wherever you play. And he's such a remarkable bowler. And I think the problem which Bumrah is facing is maybe lack of red ball cricket. The last he played red ball cricket was way back in Australia. That was also, correct me if I'm wrong, Vijay, the first test match. After that, he got injured. He came back, he went into rehab, came back and has played only white ball cricket. He hardly played red ball cricket against England. Maybe he played one or two test matches. Or did he play or not, Vijay? Just correct me. I don't remember that Bumrah played, or even if he played, he hardly bowled
He
because
hardly
it was
bowled.
a
Yeah,
spinning
he
track
played
and he had
one.
the spinners who bowled the maximum number of overs. So I
Yes.
think the lack of red ball cricket has hurt him. But I feel now he's had enough time to prepare. These intra-squad matches or the first-class match will help him to regain his form. One saw traces of that in the Test match which he played, especially in the second innings. He was kind of unlucky, but he did bowl well. And I think it's more about finding the right kind of length. If you can do so during these practice sessions and during these practice games, I'm sure he'll come back a stronger bowler because India needs him to pick wickets with the new ball. They also need him in the so-called once the ball gets old because he has got so many variations up his sleeve. So I think Bumrah's form is worrying for India, but India would be hoping that he gets back to his old form.
Sabah, every
Now,
time I remember speaking to Kapil on Bumrah, his only concern used to be his fitness. I mean, if you see Sabah, most fast bowlers in history, historically, they've all been injured at some point, but they've all made tremendous comebacks. I mean, look at
Yeah,
Jeff Thompson, Lilly. You look at Kapil himself, how he came back, Imran Khan from his injury, back injury. So if you are good, you will have to work hard on your fitness. Here, of course, you have a whole lot of people traveling with the team, the physio, the trainer. So they now will play an important role to keep Bumrah fit.
Yeah, look at Jimmy Anderson, sir.
Yeah.
Current
mm,
contemporary. I mean, he's the prime example of fitness.
mm,
another crucial example is Zahid Khan. He got injured, but he got wilder after the injury as well. But he developed more variations and he became better when he got older. So going to the next question on Shubman Gill's injury, and we already have three backup openers to replace Gill. Leaving aside Rohit Sharma because Rohit Sharma is certain to play. So Mayank Agarwal, KL Rahul, and Abhimanyu Ishwaran. And Anuma Vihari can also do a job if required. So, what are your thoughts on who should partner Rohit Sharma in the absence of Gill? Vijay sir and Sabha sir, both. Vijay sir, you can go first.
Sabha, what I heard was that Hanuma Vihari was reluctant to open, and why should he? Unless you give him, at least you give him a cushion of at least the series. Tell him, that he won't lose his place if he gets out, if he doesn't do well initially. But when you have Abhimanyu, who is who has only opened all his life, and so why? I mean, why would you not want to experiment with Abhimanyu? You have taken him there. If there is a slot open, let him open. Rohit will be there, of course. But what about Mayank Agarwal? I mean, it's not that he did fail in Australia. That was the only time he failed. So give him a chance. If Mayank Agarwal fails, then maybe you can go back to Abhimanyu. That is what I feel, Sabha.
Yes, I think one from selector's perspective, one also needs to understand who's there in the pecking order. So who's number one in the pecking order? If the team management and the selectors feel it is Mayank Agarwal, then he should be given enough opportunity. If not, then they should try out KL Rahul. So I think in the selector's mind and in the team management mind, if you have about 4 or 5 available resources with you, you need to prepare that pecking order. Then I think it gets easy for the players also. They know that, okay, well, this is my opportunity, or this is the time is not for me to get into the 11. It is someone else. If that person doesn't do well, only then I get it. I think the moment you start making people jump for places, and I think it makes the environment very insecure. So one would not want to do that. I really don't know how the team management is looking at KL Rahul. During my tenure as a selector, we always looked at him as a multi-format opener. But now he has shifted. He has been played in so many different positions. At times he plays number 4, number 5, number 6. So one doesn't know where he stands. But I think he'll be a wonderful addition to the test squad in the 11. I'm saying as an opener because he fits in so well. In fact, I look at him as a potential captain of the Indian side in years to come because he has the right kind of intelligence. He is very aware of his responsibility, and the way he led Kings 11 Punjab Kings for that matter, bodes really well for him.
Sabha, I suspect that KL Rahul could be a replacement for Cheteshwar Pujara, the way things are going. Because Rahane is vice captain, so you can't keep him out. So Pujara is going to get the axe, and then Rahul comes into his slot. So
that's what I'm saying. So it's for the team management to figure out if they're looking at KL Rahul to come in eventually at number 3, then keep him for that. Otherwise, then you get in with Mayank Agarwal because Ishwaran comes after these two.
But sir, Pujara was probably all-time great after the Australia series. Now we are talking about dropping him. Something doesn't tie up.
You think he's all-time great, but if the team management thinks differently, you and I don't matter.
Fair enough. Coming to the chances of tour. So, do you think India is best placed now to win a series in England after a long time, especially England not giving importance to their first side, and then India also is high on England series and Australia overseas victory. So is this our best chance to get an overseas series win?
I reckon so. But I think if England would play with their first 11, I don't know how they stand. I mean, who are missing? Ben Stokes and Joss Butler. And I'm sure they will get these two in the 11 for the series against India. Because they would be hurting. They've lost 4-0, 3-1 to India here. Not only the Test match, but also the white ball cricket here, T20 as well as one day. So they would want to do well in their home soil. So I really don't know what kind of wickets they will prepare, but at least they will go in with their top 11. Joe Root, I'm sure he he would want to put one across India, especially in England. In England, and most of these top quality players, they play with a lot of pride. And I think that really matters. So I think, but I do believe that India has a very strong chance of winning this away series against England. The last they did was under the captaincy of Rahul Dravid, Vijay, isn't it? This is possibly the best or the most experienced Indian side to travel to England. They have so many of these cricketers who have been to England on number of occasions, not only with Team India but also with India A. So they know the vagaries of the weather and the wicket. So I'm sure they are pretty well equipped to handle all that. So yeah, I strongly believe that India has a very strong chance of winning this time around.
Yeah, let's hope.
Sabah plus second half, na? Second half of the summer.
Yeah, the summer may get drier. Yeah, you're right. And I mean, look at England batting lineup. They look so fragile. Uh, they don't even have a settled opening pair. They only have Joe Root, who seems to be settled, and then way down the order at Ben Stokes and Josh Butler. Otherwise, the rest of the batters, they're not too sure about their own place in the side.
Yeah.
They are preparing with Ashes, Sabah. As simple as that. So
Yeah, but even for
they'll
that,
spread-
but I know Vijay. But after
They will-
this, they play the Ashes, isn't it? So they have to get the right players here. At least they are in form. Otherwise, Australians will exploit them.
I know. I mean, it's good. It's good for Indian cricket that such an experienced team is playing against not a so experienced, not such a not very formidable England squad. So, like you said, Sama, after the Dravid's tenure as captain, this probably is the best team to go and win in England.
Yeah.
One off-topic comment coming in here, Vijay sir, from Ajay Kemannu. Should we retire jersey number 7?
Why is that? I mean,
Yes, Dhoni.
For Mahendra Singh Dhoni, in respect of Mahendra Singh Dhoni?
I mean, do you do well because of the jersey number? You don't. I mean, let somebody. What is there? I mean, I don't know. So, like Sachin Tendulkar jersey was retired, and there was no jersey in the times of Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev. So at this rate, we would have retired so many jerseys. Sabah, if you look at the history of Indian cricket, so
But
I
we
don't
have
know.
seen that in other sport, isn't it, Vijay?
Huh?
We have seen that in some other sport where jerseys of some of the legendary athletes.
Yeah,
have
it's a mark of
retired.
respect.
Yes, it's a mark of respect. That's something which we can try here. One can start with Sachin Tendulkar and continue with MS Dhoni. Look at the contribution to Indian cricket. Multi-format players, number of years, captain, led the side with such aplomb. World Cup winning captain, T20 as well as one-day cricket. So I think there's this huge achievement attached to MS Dhoni's cricketing career. So I think BCCI can think about it. And I think it's also important to have. We don't even have a so-called cricket museum. So if we can have something like that, that's where you can place the jerseys of such legendary cricketers.
Talking of museum, I've been hearing about this museum for 15 years now, and
But
I don't know
times
where.
have changed now.
where-
Sure, the current office bearers can think on these lines.
There are some private guys who have their own collection
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
set
I
up
heard about
museums,
that.
but not BCCI.
Okay. So one question on the squad for the England series, right? So we concluded the WTC. We played 2 spinners, 3 pacers. A lot of discussions were on why 2 spinners and why not Mohammad Siraj. So what do you think can change from the 11s which we had for WTC to England's first Test match?
So I think India is pretty strong in terms of their combination. So they actually want to go in a Test match with 6 batters, including the wicketkeeper, and 5 bowlers. So the ideal combination for England would be obviously 4 bowlers, 4 pace bowlers, 1 spinner, or more so with the dry summer coming in. And I think India went ahead with 2 spinners because they felt that both spinners give them more opportunity or far better option in terms of their batting. It lengthens their batting, especially with Jadeja coming in at number 7, Ashwin at 8. Whenever I've been asked this question, I go back. I go back to my earlier thought that India lost not because of our bowling. We lost because of our poor batting in both the innings. If we had managed to bat well in the first inning and we were very well placed, we were 140 odd for 3. If we had managed to get about 300, we would have been in a far better position to win the Test match. And I think we also lost the Test match because even if our 3 pace bowlers, you leave aside Mohammad Shami, the other 2 struggle with the right length. So whether you have 3 pace bowlers or 4 pace bowlers, all these pace bowlers have to bowl in the right areas, and I think that's what New Zealand did. and that is why they came on. They came on top. So I think it's essential to introspect and to find the right kind of reason for a loss to New Zealand. And that's the only way you can go forward. It's so easy to change the combination because you have lost it, let's change the combination, but that will not help India.
And
Yeah,
one more thing is, if you see the composition of our side, right, we had gone with three seam bowlers, not swing bowlers, whereas in England,
yeah.
actually, it is swing bowlers who
We
actually
don't
get
have we
extract
don't
more.
have a swing bowler in the squad. We haven't picked Bhuvneshwar.
Yeah, we have, but we do have Siraj, right, who can
Viraj
swing the
is not a
ball.
swing bowler. He's also a seam bowler. Prasidh Krishna also a seam bowler. So we have only, right now we have Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Deepak Chahar, the swing bowlers, genuine swing bowlers. It's easy for us to say that, when we were watching the test match, we felt that how come the pace bowlers are not pitching the ball in the right areas? How come they're not bowling fuller? It's easier said than done for a pace bowler. So if you're used to bowling that length, only then you can figure out easily and change your length. And that is why I think it's more important to become a pace bowler who was multi-dimensional in terms of picking the right length or bowling the right length. I think that's what New Zealand did. Look at Kyle Jamieson. Look at Wagner. They're more used to bowling those short pitch deliveries. But how were they able to change the length? Because they're used to bowling in those conditions back home in New Zealand. So they are multidimensional in terms of finding the right length in different conditions. And I think that's where we fail to do.
It is a great point. An example is last night as well. If you look at Mitchell Stark, hasn't played T20 cricket for over a year, and yesterday was the first game he played. And all the half volleys to Russell, Russell scored the fastest 50 of his career.
Yeah.
So that's an example of how adaptability of a fast bowler can come in.
And one of you talked about Zahir Khan. I think the best thing Zahir Khan did to prolong his career and to become far more effective, that is, he went to England and played 1 or 2 seasons of county cricket to learn the right length to bowl. So it does not happen overnight. It'll take maybe 1 or 2 seasons for a pace bowler to figure out the right length or to bowl in different lengths. I think that's what Zahir did. He spent, I think, 2 or 3 summers, Vijay, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
and there he
he.
learned the nuances of bowling in the right areas. And that is how he was such an experienced speedster for India.
Sabah, if you remember that WTC final, how the first hour New Zealand bowlers were just busy beating the bat instead of, and then they got the right length to find the edges. So that is where the Indians failed. And I think if you are looking at the first test match for England, Sabah, I would say the only change I would love to have is bring Siraj back into the attack. Like you said, you already have 6 batters, 7 can be Ashwin, and then 4 bowlers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Time for last.
one man, Vijay sir. Sorry, Suman. Just one question
Go ahead.
is coming up here. So, one man who really would like to make a point is perhaps Virat Kohli. There have been comments that it's been 46 innings, 47 innings without 100. That's the kind of bar he set that, if he doesn't score 100, we will start questioning his form. Does he really have to be questioned at the moment? I think he'll be keen to get 100 going in this particular series, Vijay sir.
Last time when Virat Kohli scored a century, there's a meme going on. Petrol rate was 74 rupees in India.
It's crossed 100. So high time Virat also makes a score past 100. But I think it's
No,
not.
I'm hoping Vijay, the day he gets his 100, the petrol rate should come down.
But Sabah, I would also see it is not that he's throwing his wicket away. He's often getting out to good delivery. So the opposition probably targets him more. They know that you get this man, and it used to be with Sachin and Rahul both. You get them, and you kind of you hurt the Indian batting lineup. So here Virat will be under tremendous pressure. But knowing him, I think he's also set himself up for some good scores in this. Even the WTC final, Sabah, he was batting well in the first innings. He looked very good. But suddenly you get a good ball, and in the second innings also, if you remember how he was trapped both the innings by Jamieson. So it is a huge challenge for him, and I hope he gets runs for his own benefit and the team also.
Yeah. Ishak, time for last question.
Yeah, and Ajay Kamanu says it's been 2 years since that epic World Cup semi-final, and we all wish Dhoni should have dived. So that's a different point of view altogether. But coming to the question actually.
Has
So
he
what
has he ever dived in his entire career as a batsman while running? I have my doubts about that.
He did dive in last
I don't
IPL.
ever recall.
He did dive in last IPL to reach, and there was
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
oh
running
yes,
comparing
yes.
those team images. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But Sabah, I think England was destined to. I mean, that game, if you remember, New Zealand. How many times would you hit the stumps from the angle
Yeah.
that run out happened? So probably that was at the back of his mind. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not that he wouldn't have known that if he could dive, he would save himself. But it was just that what? I mean, a second
Mm.
late or whatever. I mean, it was his bad luck that day. So otherwise, I would have expected Dhoni to finish the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have always said Virat Kohli and Dhoni are the best runners between the wickets. One instance, unfortunately, is scarred for his life, but tough luck. That's how it
Mm.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming to the actual question, because this is a long series, 5 test series, right? Do you think the Indian pace attack will be rotated? Because I think it will be like all the 3 pacers who played in the World Test Championship, right? It will be harsh on them to play all the 5 matches. So, do you think how will the series pan out for the likes of Siraj, Thakur? They will get a chance.
I'm sure they will. Because India is playing a five-test series in England. I think this is happen. This will happen after a long time. Maybe the first time. Has India played a five-test match series, Vijay, in England before?
Yeah, they have. They have.
We have. Okay.
I think the last time was also at the 5 match series, I guess.
Five
When
test
we
matches.
went,
All
yeah.
right. So I think it will be good for the Indian team if we can rotate the pace bowlers, because it's so important to keep them fresh, because they'll end up bowling larger number of overs. So I think it's essential for the Indian team management to think on those lines. They may be forced to make some changes due to form, but I think even if it is not because of that, it is good to have that kind of a policy in the system.
Sabah, they will have to rotate. They will have to preserve. I mean, it's a long series, and you will be
All those
needed to bowl. You may be needed to bowl long spells also, and if you don't preserve, I don't want to see a situation where Bharat Arun will come back.
Mm.
Excellent. On that note, couple of important things before we leave. Today is Sunil Gavaskar's 72nd birthday. So wanted to make sure that we wish on all of Waadaplaya's behalf. And I think Vijay sir, tomorrow you're doing a session, so we'll join in to listen to your thoughts about that.
I am Sabah. If you have also interacted with Mr. Gavaskar, I have, and I have only learned from him every time. And I just pick his brains, and sometimes he gets tired. And he'll say, "Enough, ho gaya bas aaj bahut." But yeah, but for me, cricket always will begin and end with Mr. Gavaskar, and of course Kapil Dev, Mr. Bedi, and Mr. Vishwanath. I mean, I come from that era, so
Yeah.
Gavaskar is very high up, and I mean, using this platform, I would love to wish him many happy returns of the day.
Same from my side, Vijay. Many happy returns of the day to Sunny Bhai. He's a legend, and whatever adjectives we may like to add to his to him, I think all that will not be doing justice to his culture. And one has always learned whenever one has spent time with Sunny Bhai. It goes back. I go back to my first international tour to South Africa,
Huh.
1997. If you recall the first Test match, we were blown away in Durban by Alan Dolan and company, and
Yeah.
we were basically all the Indian batters. We were chatting with him, and he said, "You need to stick to one line. You have to choose one line." It basically meant that to pick the line you play. If the ball off from the surface it deviates, you don't have to poke your bat. You don't have to follow it. And I think that was such a simple advice from him. But all those batters who followed his advice after that Test match, they did well, including Rahul Dravid. And that was initial years of Rahul Dravid and Saurav Ganguly and BVS. So all these 3-4 youngsters, they learned a lot on that tour while discussing with Sunny Bhai.
But
Amazing.
Sabah, he has some amazing memory, yeah. Amazing memory, like Sachin. Sachin will tell you, yeah, he was at short leg and so was at the silly point. So Mr. Gavaskar also, he'll remember spells. He'll remember the last over before a particular session bowled by a particular bowler with that particular field. So amazing memory.
Yeah. Great goal stories. Excellent.
I think one more great advice which Sunil Gavaskar always gives is regarding the toss. Irrespective of the pitch or the conditions, you have to bat first in a test match. I think it's a great advice.
You have to be prepared to bat first, I think.
Yeah.
You should be prepared to bat first because they say, na Sabah, if you win the toss and you're not too sure, you decide to bat first, and you win the toss, and you have absolutely no clue about what to do, you still bat first.
Mm.
So that's what Don Bradman used to say, na? Bat first.
Yeah. Even Bishan Paji,
Yeah.
he followed it to the T even as a coach.
Yes. I know.
Very well, very well. Sabah sir and Vijay sir, thank you so very much. As usual, amazing stories. Our Saturdays are made, and thank you for making time again on from your busy schedules. And before we leave, just viewers of India, I think last 2 months have been rough. Slowly things are starting to look better. Vaccinations are opening up. So hopefully we are still responsibly using those vaccination opportunities and not taking off masks and not sanitizing hands. Hopefully we have learned a lesson. Let's please stay safe, and to the frontline workers, a big thank you, and make sure we are getting vaccinated at the first available opportunity. Vishak, Akash, and Syed, as usual, fantastic questions, and thanks for your time. Sabha and Vijay sir, thank you so very much for being on our show.
Thank you so
Suman,
much.
I'm sitting at home, Sabah, but I have a mask ready.
Awesome.
I'm actually in Mumbai quarantining.
Huh.
I'm here for the India Sri Lanka commentary.
Right.
Yeah, so staying in the room for about 3-4 days only, then we'll be allowed to go out. So we are following
Quarantine?
the COVID protocols. And that would be my message to all the viewers who have logged in. Stay safe, stay healthy. Please ensure that you wear masks whenever you go out, sanitize your hands, and maintain social distancing. And all the best, and thank you so much for this invite.
All the best,
Thank
Sabha,
you.
for your stint. Vijay sir, thank you. Thank you, guys. See you next time with another
Bye-bye.
episode. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Sabah.
Yes.